This episode is sponsored to you guys by Shutterstock. With over 20 million high-quality stock photos, illustrations, vectors, and video clips, Shutterstock helps you guys take your creative projects to the next level. For 30% off your new account, head on over to Shutterstock.com and use the offer code GameBreaker8.
GameBreaker TV.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Legendary. I'm Mike Shavnin, and coming up tonight, we've got more info on your favorite arena match-ending buff. Olivia and I are going to get in a fight, I can already tell. Virtual Realms get connected, and Garrosh blows up Stormwind. No, stop the music, stop. We're not spreading this slander anymore. No. Didn't you watch Waypoint? Bad. All that and more, but first, joining us all the way from WoW Insider Zam, and right here on GameBreaker TV, from the wrong side of 4 a.m., it's Olivia D. Grace.
Hello, it is the wrong side of 4 a.m., which for your reference is the side after 4 a.m. It's late. I'm kind of tired. I ran out of coffee, which is just the worst thing.
Trust me, you don't want to be in the studio when Gary runs out of coffee. That's even worse.
No.
With us again this week from an underground bunker filled with creepy monkeys. I think just why? Why?
Why indeed?
Host of Convert to Raid, it's Mr. Pat Crane.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh.
And joining us again, bringing his wonderful Aspergas face all the way back right here to Legendary. I don't even know where I'm going anymore.
There you go.
Oh, even with an Aspergas.
I don't know what that means, but I'll take it. Hello. I was thinking, Mike, that if you ever want to throw a party in space, you should plan it.
Oh,
Plan it.
Ew.
Ew.
Why did we get you back again?
I don't know. I don't know at all.
Yeah.
Was it jokes like that?
That's
Really sure
what
it
everybody was
wasn't.
just waiting for.
Lord.
It's every week on Convert to Raid that I have to hear it.
Yeah.
Now I get to hear it
That's right.
twice in 1 week.
Coltrane,
Is it the same
Coltrane,
joke twice a week?
how much
Yeah, no, it's not the same joke. It's not the same.
How do you-
That one was different.
do you just wake up and look in the mirror and practice these jokes every morning?
Yes, every morning. Well, I sleep like this, so I'm just like, ooh, good morning. Time to start the day.
Got a whole cup of asparagus that you
right.
just kind of grab from, take a bite out of it in the morning. All right, this
That's how I
is
live my
already
life.
going great. This is already
You know,
going
I hate
great.
the play, I hate the game. What can I say? You know.
Let's move on to some World of Warcraft. Last week we said that we don't usually talk about items on the PTR. Then we proceeded to do so. So this week we're just gonna keep making liars out of ourselves by talking about some items right here on Legendary. But that's because there were actually some really interesting weapons that have been found on the latest PTR build. These weapons were actually already in previous builds, but they were originally epic items that dropped off Garrosh Hellscream that they used to be modeled after old Horde PvP weapons. Nothing special, right? Everybody's used to them. That was kind of expected since we're going to be raiding Orgrimmar. But in the most recent build, they actually got some new colors and some new tool tips. So we're going to talk about these right here, right now. As soon as I bring up this screenshot, now that it's loaded, I'll bring it up for you guys. I don't think you can see
That
a
is
damn
not the
thing.
right one.
That is the only SS1 screenshot that I got.
Wow, okay, that's the wrong
That's
one.
my inventory. That's a nice shot of me.
Yeah, let's get
what
rid
you
of
guys
that,
think?
because that is the wrong thing.
I gotta work on my bag space a bit.
I
but-
don't know, guys. From that picture, can you notice anything different? No.
No, because you can't, because that's the wrong one. That's basically...
So basically what happened here, though, is they got turned into heirlooms, and what's more, they're actually scaling from, level 90 to 100. So right there, first off, 90 to 100. I think as soon as that happened, I actually got a couple tweets that was asking if that meant, personally, if that was confirmation that you think that the next expansion is going to take us to level 100, because for the past 2, we've only been taking 5 level increments.
Yeah, I think it is. Like, I just take this as a flat out confirmation that yes, absolutely categorically, we are going up to 100 in the next expansion, and the reason behind this is A, why not? And B, I don't see, it's going to be really funky to scale heirlooms so that they come in at the top end of this expansion. There's sort of good stuff at the top end. Obviously, the item levels that are on the PTR at the moment aren't final. So obviously with heirlooms, the item level is very sort of fluid and shifting. The ones on the PTR are not final at the moment because they're currently a little bit above the actual epics for flex, normal, and heroic. But I'm struggling to see how they can put them at the top end now so that, then they work their way up all the way through as you level, and then stop at 95. And then you raid, and then you go through an expansion at max level, and then you build up your stuff, and then you build up your item level, and then the heirlooms pop in again and carry you to 100. Like, that's kind of weird to me. I think the scaling, I don't think it's impossible. I just think it would be odd.
But why not? Hang on.
That's my reasoning behind why I think it's 100 based on this.
Why? I think a lot of people are kind of a little bit off-put by the fact that these heirlooms are going to be there to level with. But this just came to me. First off, to take note, it's not framed the best in picture here. Let's see if we can get this on here. First off, you can't really see it.
There we go.
There's no experience attached to it. So first off, right there, I'm okay with it being an heirloom that goes to level 100 for the next expansion, because that's obviously a problem that they would have faced. Well, I didn't get to raid to the end of that. Why are you giving all of the raiders a leg up on my experience curve in the next expansion? But what do you guys think about this? This is kind of interesting. A lot of people always talked about how they really hated how their legendary weapon didn't take them into the next expansion that well. Maybe this is their way, since we didn't get a legendary weapon like we assumed we were going to. Maybe this is their way of giving us a awesome weapon at the end of the raid, at the end of the expansion, that will take us to level 100, that we can replace at the end, so that we kind of felt like we got a weapon out of this expansion like that. What do you guys think about that?
That's right. That was exactly what I was going to be saying. Because as soon as the rogues got their legendary in Cataclysm, here's what happened. After 2 levels in Mists of Pandaria, they said, "Oh, these daggers, they don't do anything anymore. See ya later." And they just kind of put them in their bag and forgot about them. And so now this is kind of a nice way to say, hey, here's something you can use to level up to whatever the level is. I'm not so sure that it's going to be 100. I hope not. But because that's going to be a long XP grind if that's the fact.
I think that the big thing that you have to keep in mind is they've been using 2 digits. So if we hit 100, that's like the 2000 syndrome. So this whole game could shut down because it'll be 0-0. I mean, I don't know if people have considered that. That could really happen here. But I think I have to agree with Olivia when she first started. I think we're going to 100 in this next expansion. I think we are. And I know that sounds crazy, but I'm thinking when it was, what expansion was it that went to 100? Was it Burning, or not 100, 10 levels, not 5. The thing about 5 levels is, Burning Crusade. It seemed to go faster. Yeah, I guess that's true. But for me, it seems to go faster when there's more levels, as crazy as that sounds, versus I'm stuck on the same level and it's taken me forever to get to the next level.
Absolutely. And it's if they do 10, they're not going to make them 10 Mists of Pandaria sized levels.
Let's hope not.
And that's stupid. And you're getting, when you're leveling fast, when you're going through levels quicker, you're getting a reward more frequently. You're getting a little breadcrumb. You're getting a little extra thing more quickly. And that makes it feel quicker, even though you're probably going to do the same, actual total time spent of overall leveling. It feels faster. It definitely does.
Yeah, there's more of a reward system getting 10 levels in the time it took you to take 5, or to get 5. So
True.
So I think that could be a good thing about 10, just because it might feel faster, just due to player reward. So
if they are Mists of Pandaria levels, however, I will be very put out.
I would be so surprised if they were, honestly. They nerfed that XP quantity for before we even got to the final patch of the expansion. Like,
Right.
there's no way they're going to jump in and do that sheer like that. Do you remember that? How freaking hard it was to get from 85 to 90 with your first character with no rested because you were like hooning through it to try and get in
Right.
and get going.
And I did that with
slow.
and I did that with 2 characters, 85 to 90 in the first week, plus
Yeah.
getting them raid ready. And it was just it was craziness. It was just like, okay, I guess I'm playing this game for 96 hours straight.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly. That's
yeah.
it'd be insane. I definitely think that it's, I don't see a way that I don't see a problem with it being 10 levels, and B, I would be really surprised if they did. One of the things that people are citing as evidence that this is definitely not going to be going all the way to 100 is items that drop off rares. There's a I forget exactly what the item's called, but it's a turtle shell that you can throw at people who are mounted, and it knocks them off their mounts. And on that, it says cannot be used on targets over level 94. And for some reason, people have fixated on this and decided that this means that we're definitely only going to 95 in the next expansion.
You could fixate on the 100 just as much as you could fixate on the 94.
Yeah, exactly. And it just seems a bit weird that people have like sort of brought that in. Although sure, one item versus an entire like dungeon journals full of raid drops, but it could still be the case. I just don't see how it's going to work. I don't see how they were going to do that with this heirloom.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to like use the heirloom and then put it away, and then next expansion, let's pull it back out for the other 5 levels.
That's what we're doing with the other heirlooms, though, aren't we?
Exactly. That's what we already do.
Right.
Yeah.
Put it in void storage and
That's because
forget
it's a
about it.
smooth curve. Like the way we're going at the minute, it's just like 80, get rid of them, carry on, or 85 if you spent them justice points to upgrade them. But it's not in the current expansion where there's a whole raid or a whole like 3 tiers of like stuff to go through to get past it, and then it's going to be like still good then that you're going to want to use it over your raiding items in the 95 to 100 level. Like, I mean, maybe I'm just being blonde, but it doesn't seem like it would work very well to me.
If it were to go to 95 and then stop there and then go to 100 later, I mean, they can always build that stuff in as, they build the next expansion, whatever that one is, So, I mean, they could always change the numbers. I mean, it's not like we've never seen numbers change on the PTR or in future expansions, betas, or anything like that. No, never. No. Numbers are solid all the time.
Every time.
As much as I like this idea that maybe 10 levels would make the leveling experience faster, now we're level 100, right? So my buddy Dave over here says, oh, World of Warcraft, I've heard about this for years. You're level 100? Like, that's a heck of a climb. I mean, look, it's already level 90, which is huge. But level 100, I mean, that's outrageous. So I don't know. That's like one of those like key numbers that's crazy. But I'm curious, like, Mike, do you think, like, for the WoW populace, 5 levels better, 10 levels better? What do you think, man?
It's really tough to say. I don't in the end, I don't think it matters. I think the biggest thing, as you guys mentioned earlier, is that the 5 level grind makes it feel like it's taking longer, even if it is the exact same. And I don't know if it was, but you do run into the problem because you're trying to make the experience just as much as it was before, but you're spreading it out over 5 levels, so it takes you twice as long. I don't know. I think that I liked the curve of achieving 1 to 2 levels per zone in Burning Crusade and Wrath, as opposed to I leveled, now I'm going to move on to a new zone that we've seen with Mists of Pandaria and a little bit more so in Cataclysm.
Right.
So I'm okay with it. Like, I'm okay with us going to 100. I think just that, as you said, Coltrane, obviously you now have that whole like, holy cow, we're at level 100. Like, do we keep going? Like,
Right.
What? It's okay. And like, that means next expansion's going to be 110. Like, it's okay.
Someone tweeted me saying, oh, well, I thought that they were going to do another 2 to 3 expansions, but we're already at level 100. It's like,
nope, it's done.
Just
Right.
it's a round number.
You know what they're gonna
Well,
do?
it's
You know
over.
what they're gonna do when they hit level 100? The next expansion is just gonna one up and be like, you know what? You got to level to 200.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, it's a funny thing, like you're saying, with 10 levels, I feel like as an MMO player, when you sit down for the day and you're just starting new content, you're looking at that XP bar, right? And what you want to do is make progress on that XP bar.
Yeah.
And when it's only 5 levels, you could run dungeons, you could do quests, and you think, well, I moved it up a little bit. I did some damage. You know what I mean? And also, too, when you do hit level 86 or you hit level 87, I personally, especially with alts, I like take a break because I know I've got such a long hill to get up to 88. You know what I mean?
Give me that rested.
So, yeah, rested, exactly. But if you got 10 levels, every night that I log in, I'm going to be doing some nice damage to that XP bar that's going to get me closer. And maybe if I could level up like in one night or, 2 levels, like that'd be incredible. So I think there's a much greater reward system with 10 versus 5.
All right, so one thing that people have been quite vocal about so far is kind of where these heirlooms drop from. Now, they come from heroic, normal, and flex raids, but they do not come from LFR. Thank you, Blizzard. It seems like they're kind of going to make the... And I only run LFR right now, so I'm on the other side of the fence. But it kind of seems like they're making... like they might make the additional... These kind of as additional rewards. Lore was actually talking about this a little bit ago. If you guys remember, he's kind of said this following back in June. He said, holy quote card, nothing is being removed from Raid Finder. In fact, the rewards Ghostcrawler mentioned in his tweets are something brand new and that haven't previously been available in any raid content. We want there to be some incentives to make the jump from Raid Finder into something more organized. However, we'd like to do that in a way that doesn't take anything away from Raid Finder. So instead of removing set bonuses, trinkets, legendary progress, or anything else along those lines, we decided to come up with something new. Just to be totally clear, Raid Finder in patch 5.4 will be itemized with all of the same sorts of stuff you've come to expect over the last few tiers. There will, however, be a brand spanking new type of reward that is only available to the players who choose to step up into flex, normal, or heroic rating. Hope that clears the air a bit. So, what do you guys think? I love it. I'm glad this is happening, and I'm an LFR raider at the moment. I'm glad this is happening.
Do you raid flex or do you raid normal at all, chat?
Not right now. I don't have the time.
Not at the moment. Are you going to do
flex? Is going to be great.
Flex
is. I hope that I can get a part of a team when Flex comes around because that will it allows for me to be able to raid like that. But even if I don't, let me just say, and then I'll throw it to you guys. Even if I don't ever graduate because I'm too busy, I'm perfectly fine with that. I want to feel like I'm missing out on items or just something extra. Because I'm not willing to make the commitment. And if I want that, I should have to make the commitment. That's what the game used to be. That's what made me the hardcore raider that I was back in college. Granted, I had the time, but that's what made me want to do it was the item, the extra item benefit of being that much better. So I don't know. That's me. What do you guys think?
Well, like what you were saying about the XP buff not being there on these items, that makes it okay for me too. I mean, I think that I'm sure that we'll hear a lot about this on the forums from a lot of different people, but I kind of go back and forth on okay, well, how are people going to respond? Probably poorly. They do that on the forums. That's the way it goes. But I think people will get used to it. People will get used to that idea, and hopefully this will actually push some people into the group content of raiding, because that is like my favorite part of the game. Group content, having fun with friends, and I like that they're trying to entice people, but it's not such a big carrot that people will feel like it's an unfair advantage when it comes time for that next expansion to hit. So
exactly,
I'm okay with it.
You know what my favorite part of the game is, Pat?
What's that?
Equal loot. Equal loot. Equal looting rights for the people, the masses. All right, now, here's the thing.
Send all your hate to @the_Coltrane.
Yeah. Here's the thing. LFR versus normal raids, right? This is a controversial topic, right? Some people are like, they can only do LFR. Because of their job, they have a family, they have kids. That's the only rating they can do is LFR. There's other people that are like, well, LFR is not real rating, and therefore LFR shouldn't get these things. So the thing about it is that this is not like affecting one class. This is affecting everyone. And the raiding community is a very passionate community. And every single person thinks that they're right? So if they raid LFR and that's all they do, they say LFR should get the same loot as everybody else. This isn't fair that LFR is not getting this particular weapons from Garage that Normal and Flex. And Normal and Flex are saying, but it's LFR. And, it goes back and forth. So here's the thing. Let's say my favorite color is blue, right? I love blue. In my opinion, it's the greatest color in the world. And
Couldn't
I think
tell from your
agrees.
shirt. Couldn't tell from your shirt.
Yes, mage blue. Olivia, her favorite color is red. And to her, it's the best color, clearly, and everyone loves red, right? So what I'm saying to everyone out there that's listening, what if we combine the colors, right? We listen to both sides, because when you combine red and blue, you get purple. And what is purple? Epic. So let's be epic together and listen to both sides of this argument.
Wait, do you practice this stuff in the mirror? You have to. You have to.
I apologize. It literally just came to me. That's why it doesn't make any sense.
Wait, exactly. So, Cole, what are you saying we should do about these heirlooms?
Okay, so what I'm saying is, I am a big fan of, back in Wrath of the Lich King, there was separate loot from 25 and 10, right? And I rated 10-man. This is pre-LFR. And all the cool loot was in 25. All the great stuff with all the procs and the cool stuff. And as a 10-man raider, I felt left out. I didn't feel like it was fair. I was like, wait a minute, they get all the cool stuff. But I didn't have time to do a 25. I was in a 10-man group with friends. So when the next expansion hit, they equalized the loot, and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. But now, there's now stuff that's only available in Normal and Flex and not LFR. And I feel that, just my side of things, that these LFR people, they should have access to the same loot as everyone else. And I know that causes controversy, but it's just my opinion.
Here's the one thing that I'll say about that, though, is that I think that they're going about it right with the way that they're doing it. As Laura said, they've set up this system that everybody who's doing LFR now has come and learned to expect to get tier, item bonuses, etc., and they're not taking any of that away. But they are adding something new, something fun to incentivize the LFR raider to go ahead and step up and try something new, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, I think you've got to look at it from the perspective of how will this actually work? And if people have access to these aliens via LFR, people are just going to grind out the last section of LFR interminably until they get all the weapons. So the next question is that a bad thing? Is it necessarily a problem that everyone's grinding out the last section of LFR constantly until they get all these weapons? Not necessarily. I don't see that as a big problem, but then there should be, it's kind of like looking at the PvP system. You can't fully cap out your conquest points from doing arenas because rated battlegrounds get the last little bit. They're much harder to organize. They're harder to put together. And Blizzard feel that there should be some compensation for that. And they do that in the form of the last little bit. And that's very similar to how this works. LFR, with the current system, with these heirlooms, you get everything but the last little bit. So you get your 1800 conquest point equivalent, which is all the tier gear, all the other gear, potential for other drops. You just don't get that last little bit, which is the heirlooms. And I can totally see both sides of it. I'm leaning more towards I'm glad this isn't in LFR. And I'll tell you why I'm glad it isn't in LFR, is because I don't have great loot luck. So I can see myself running this over and over again and never getting them. However, when I then level up next expansion, when I take my whichever character I've decided I like at that point up to 100, I can pop back, I can jump into a normal mode, and I can probably solo the last section in Flex, with that character, and I'll take 2 friends with me, I'll take 4 friends with me, and we'll run the last wing of that Flex raid again and again until we get the heirlooms and give them to our outs. There's nothing to say that you can't do that. Sure. I feel that there's definitely people who are doing just LFR will feel left out, will feel put upon by this. But I definitely think that there's a good argument for maintaining that little separation, just as a nod to the fact that group raiding is so much harder to organize and to put together and to run. There should be an additional incentive to push people from the push a button and go up to the harder section. I think there should be something there. There should be a separation. And this is ideal because there's not much that you gain from this. Right. All it is the ability to take your last weapon and be like, well, this is good for a while. Like, you know, you're going to go into the zone and the first thing you get is going to be a quest drop, which is just fine. There's no, like Shaft, whoever was said, there's no XP bonus on this.
Yeah.
They're not going to make it faster.
Right. And I was just about to bring that up, and I'm glad that you did. So yeah, basically all you're saving is any enchants that you want to put on these weapons or anything like that later, which when you're questing, you don't really need anyway, so who cares? So you're basically just saying, I have one weapon and I'm going to be able to bring this up all the way to level cap, whatever that is. And that's cool. But we don't know even how powerful these things are in comparison with the other weapons that are going to be available for you when you're leveling up. So you might.
What if they're just on par?
Right, exactly. Or what if they're lower? I mean, nobody knows quite yet exactly where they're going to be when it comes to actual power compared with the other quest items that are going to be available. So it's not horrible. And Mike, I agree with you. I think they're going about it the right way. I still don't know exactly where I sit with it, but I don't think it really matters all that much. I mean, it's just kind of a cool little item.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what I know. Is that this weapon should be an LFR. Peace, I'm out! Peace! Yeah!
I don't know. I don't think it's a problem that it's not. I think it's going to be fine. I think it's going to be just fine. LFR people, it's going to be just fine. And maybe you'll jump into a flex raid, which is bearing in mind as well that flex raiding's in wings. And I can imagine that there's going to be the odd pug or two in ye olde trade chat looking for people to run
constantly
that
running that
wing
one.
of that section. It's not like a normal raid where you have to go all the way through it to get to the boss. This is in wings, just like LFR.
And it's not like you can't pick up an extra player or two.
Exactly. I suspect there's a faint possibility that you might be able to get into a pug for this, even if you are on a limited schedule.
True, but people don't want to be forced to do that. You know what I mean? They don't want to feel...
We get it, Coltrane. You're casual.
Okay,
just stamp.
Another point of view.
No one's forced to do it. No one's being forced. Like this isn't some incredible thing that's going to revolutionize your World of Warcraft life.
True.
This is just a weapon that will be nice for some time.
It's a cool weapon. But I think by removing the XP...
Just gonna keep arguing it till you're blue in the face.
Last thing I'll say. It is really great that there's no XP gain with that. Increases XP gain by 10%. Like that is huge. I think, meaning that makes it somewhat okay that you can't get it in LFR, maybe. But I'm just saying, I'm glad that that's not on the weapon. So,
yeah. Right. Olivia, also last week we found out that you got an item in the game. Real quick, did you find out what boss that's going to drop off of?
Yes. Going to drop off the legendary cloak boss.
The irony is so sweet.
Probably
better get working on that quest. I'm glad I didn't know that beforehand.
I just got another shaven to 90 on American servers. And I'm just like, Squishy messaged me earlier on Skype saying, so, have you seen what boss your hat drops off? I was like, no, but don't tell me it's Ordos, isn't it? Because I knew, if you didn't watch Legendary a couple of weeks ago, I was like saying it's stupid, it sucks, it's the worst idea to have it locked behind the Legendary quest chain.
So real quick, I was gonna before this, I was literally gonna say you said you have the worst luck with drops, and it was gonna be a very mean thing to say. I was like, I just hope it's really ironic that you just get the worst luck with this item and getting it to drop. That's because funny. For me it was like Terrastin Strangle Staff. I never got that to drop for me.
Yeah.
But now I don't have to be mean because it's already hard enough for you to get it.
They did that for you. They left that one wide open for you, Shaz. It was right there. Good. All you just had to do was just knock the last little bit. Yeah.
So hey, Lib, where are you in the cloak quest right now for the legendary?
Where am I in it?
Yeah, where are you?
You assume that I've even picked it up?
Right. I'm assuming you picked it up somewhere.
Your assumption is misguided.
But by now you
I have not yet picked it up. Well, I found this out at about where are we now? I found this out at about 1:45 a.m. my time today. It's now 4:39 a.m. my time, and no, I haven't yet picked it up.
Right. But
on
you will
any
probably-
on any of my 90s, of which there are many.
That's
Fortunately,
awesome.
it's account wide. It's at least account wide. Like, so
Right.
the you only have to have the cloak on one. Oh, but wait, I've got like 3 accounts. Oh.
Oh.
You have to pick one account and do it on that. Probably the US account, because that's the one that's got a brand new 90 shaman on it. So that's going to be the one I have the most
That's
chance.
awesome. That is pretty sweet, though. I mean, that's pretty. That's just awesome. I mean,
It
that's the
is.
sweetest, nicest way.
Cheers, bro. This is just because I didn't agree with you on the LFR items, isn't it? Isn't it?
That's right.
This is what's going
That's
on
what
right
you
now.
get. That's what you get.
What was so funny is Bashiok was in our chat when I was bitching about the stupidity of having Ordos locked behind the legendary cloak. And he was just like, no, Olivia, you are wrong. You are wrong. And then he tweeted me just saying, lol. It's like,
Yep. Whoever did that, genius.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
really.
Thank you. You made all the fights just worthwhile. All right, let's move on here real quick. But before we do, I want to take a minute and tell you guys about an awesome sponsor and service. We're super happy to have them on as a sponsor. You guys know them. You guys love them. Talked about them last week. Good old Mr. Audible. It's an amazing audio book company that I think we should start a petition to get Coltrane to start reading for. But they've got a bunch of World of Warcraft books. I told you guys about how I'm working through right now on Vol'jin Shadows of the Horde, the latest World of Warcraft book that just hit shelves less than a month ago. But they actually have a bunch more. They've got Tides of War, they've got Wolfheart, they've got Storm Rage, Druid Power, yes. And it's super simple, guys. You can download these books to your audio devices, whether it be iPhone or Android. And if you guys sign up, you actually not only get a free 30-day membership, but you get a free audiobook. So you could be reading any one of these books or listening to any one of these audiobooks tonight. All you guys got to do is not Shutterstock. All you guys got to do is head on over to audible.com/gamebreaker. And you guys are going to get hooked up with a free account, free 30 days, and a free audiobook. All right. Next up this week, we had some big news and information that was released about virtual realms. Which have now been named Connected Realms, Server Merge Realms. There was a lengthy Q&A. They're dancing around it. I'll just say it for them. Come on, server merges.
They really are.
Let's see here. There was a lengthy Q&A which cleared up a few concerns that people had, including things such as names, auction house guilds, groups, and so on, as well as finally clarifying why Blizzard didn't just go the easier route of merging or closing realms. They are merging realms. I just told you that. Okay, so I'm assuming all you guys have read the Q&A. Do you guys have any concerns about how this is going to pan out, though?
I think the only thing which sort of I looked at it and was thinking, I think people might have got, reading the Q&A, I think people might have kind of got the wrong impression about how this is going to actually pan out. Like, because I was, one of the realms I play on for PvE is actually kind of a small European realm. Like, I think we're like low to medium pop. Like, sometimes it's medium, sometimes it's low. And they're like, oh, when virtual realms come around, it's going to make everything better and everything's going to be wonderful. And like, we're going to suddenly have thousands of people here and it's all going to be just peachy. And doesn't sound like there's any immediacy with the rolling out of this stuff, A. And B, it doesn't seem like there's much predictability either. Like, they're just sort of saying, it'll happen at some point. We don't really know yet how we're going to connect them. We don't know how many people. And that's like the other thing they said, which is the other thing that sort of was a little red flag for me with the problem we had with CRZ, is that they just want it to be like have a, I think, I can't remember the specific quote, but something like either a high population or a good population or a sort of busy population. Like, how many people? Like, are we talking 2,000 people in Stormwind? Or are we just talking like 100? Or are we talking, how?
Well, not Stormwind, because Stormwind's getting bombed, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. If Stormwind continues to exist. But it's just like, yeah, those are the two things that kind of flagged it up for me. I think people have misunderstood how it's going to roll out because Blizzard's messaging hasn't been clear. It's not people's fault.
I don't even think that they know how it's going to be rolling out. So
No.
that's the whole thing. They're like, well, we're not sure exactly what the numbers are going to look like exactly, and we're not sure exactly, but we want to make it so that we're making the sides a little bit more even. We're making the whole world just feel fuller and kind of like CRZ, what you were saying. But there's no numbers. They kind of know, kind of formatically how they want to do things with with the, you know, people of the same name but different realms. When they're finally connected, they'll have the little, you know, hashtag by their name or whatever. And then there are some other concerns that I've had, you know, from as like a guild leader perspective, is what happens if you have, you know, when these realms are connected, what happens if you have two guilds with the same name? What is that going to look like? Because they've said that you'll be able to join people of different realms in this connected realm will be able to join guilds together. But what happens if you have two guilds with the same name? Nobody's ever said anything about
chaos.
That. So yeah, exactly. So we don't know what's going to be happening with that. So there may be some guild name changes down the road for some of those guild masters out there. But we don't know that yet either. There's a lot of information, even though there's not really a lot of information. So.
Do you think
that we know it's called Connected Realms, so that's good.
Now we know it's called Connected Realms. Now we know that it's like
Rest
Prince.
assured.
We knew for that short period that he was named that symbol, and then he went back to being Prince again. So God knows what's coming in the future for this. But yeah.
Here's the thing, though. Even though obviously server merges have a negative stigma, and that's not what they're calling it, but that's really kind of what they are. I think that people do forget that server merges across any MMO really impact the game for the better. It sucks. I can tell you right now, on being on a really low pop RP PvP server, and no, not that kind of RP. It sucks being on a server with no one on it. Like there's no one around to help you if you get ganked. There's really few guilds that are actually doing any sort of progression rating. It just kind of sucks. So any low population server can benefit from having more people around.
But also,
say that. Sorry, go ahead.
You also have to go. You have to watch out because your economy might be thrown around quite a bit from what you're used to. So there's lots of, when you do massive changes like that, it's going to massively change some of those other things in the game that you may not necessarily pay attention to right now. But you know, as soon as it happens, you'll go, "Whoa, hold on a sec! This mat just went from 10 gold all the way up to, you know, or all the way down to like 1 silver." Now,
yeah,
right?
And you know, and like auction house people, there might be some guy that's like the guy, like he controls the market, and now he's merged with 4 other guys who are the guy who controls the market. You know, so I mean that could be a good thing. It could be good for competitive, but yeah, their entire world is going to completely change from not just a physical level as far as seeing people, but an economic as well. Some people do actually prefer low pop realms. There are people out there that like quiet. They like to go into Stormwind before it gets blown up. But we'll get into that later.
It's okay. It's okay, because according to someone in chat, they /who'd in Orgrimmar on my realm the other night, and there were 3 people in Orgrimmar.
Whoa.
3!
That really is low pop. Wow.
That's rough. See, that's got some hair.
I thought my realm was kind of low pop, but...
No, you don't know. You don't know you're scraping the bottom of the barrel until there's 3 people in Orgrimmar.
Right. That's insane. Like I remember, I did a thing on WoW Insider where some guy was like, "Oh, I'm on this really low pop realm and I'm trying to make this guild," and he sent in a question about something completely different. It just happened to mention that, and I was like, "All right, well, you're on a really low pop realm. You want to make a guild for an auction house thing? Let's just gonna put a thing on WoW Insider. Just get some people. We'll just come to your realm, make you a guild, and then we'll like disappear away like happy little guild fairies." And there was 1 person in Stormwind. And this was European realm, and it was at like 8 p.m. UK time, so 9 p.m. European time. 1 person in Stormwind, and it was this guy. And I was like, "Wow, dude! When you said low pop,
you were not kidding.
Yeah.
You were not kidding."
He's the king of Stormwind.
But there are people, like I completely agree with Colt. There are definitely people who like think of the amount of complaints you've had about cross-realm zones. I'm going to stop saying CRZ because apparently it annoys people. But it's like, think of people who've complained about those. Like, people like to have the space to themselves. It's not what Blizzard is shooting for. It's not what an MMO ought to be. But there are going to be people who are like, I rolled on this incredibly low pop realm because I wanted to be on an incredibly low pop realm. And they're going to be like...
Hipster.
Miffed.
Right.
Yeah,
Hipster.
Exactly. You're in an MMO of 1. Great.
Yeah,
awesome.
Exactly.
That's
perfect.
perfect.
Go play Oblivion. Jeez.
So they actually did, even though I've been giving them a little bit of flack, they actually did go on and explain why they didn't go the route of merging servers or closing servers. Did the reasoning make sense to you guys at all?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the big things they said that, like, how this, they kind of wanted to explain how this is different and why they didn't go down the route of it. So, like, with merging and closing servers, they were saying, particularly with the names, the names, like, obviously, if it's someone else called Coltrane on the new server, then you just have to be, like, Coltrane with 2 N's. Like, Colt Rain. Or something. Coltrane.
Right. That's no good.
Something along those lines. You'd have to change your name. And there's also people like have a server identity they feel associated with their server. Like, I mean, I don't know any people like that, but I presume there are people who are like, yeah, storm scale. This is really important to me. And there probably are people on my server who are like that. And it's just like there's that as well. And there's the one thing that they put in the Q&A, which really made me go, huh. Good point. Was people coming back, logging in, and finding their realms gone?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've come back from a bit of a hiatus. I left in 5.1 because dailies are stupid, and I heard they took dailies out in 5.4, but I logged back in, and storm scales, I mean, it wouldn't be storm scales. Storm scales, all kinds of gone.
Yeah, they log in and they're in the Matrix. You're like, what the heck?
Exactly.
It's this white room. Yeah, no, that would be freaky.
That would be bad. Yeah, I think it makes sense.
The data miners have been added again, and this time they've actually dug up some crazy Stormwind footage that we've been teasing about all night. It's not really looking good for Stormwind. So those 3 people in Orgrimmar, yeah, there's like none anymore in Stormwind.
Yeah, that one guy in Stormwind is now dead.
One guy's gone. Yeah.
He's dead.
So let's just take a look and see how that's doing.
Done.
Got a little higher.
Looking kind of
Stormwind's not looking so great anymore.
All I gotta say, I loved there was one comment and I forget where I saw this first, but someone was just like, really, Blizzard? We haven't even finished rebuilding the park yet.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Oh, hell no.
This is insane.
It's funny when people saw this, they immediately, I mean, like Alliance players just freaked out because they were just like, Blizzard, how could you do this? We haven't rebuilt the park yet. We're still rebuilding from Cataclysm. We're getting pushed around and pushed down and pushed all over the place, and now you expect us to take another one for the team or whatever? Come on, get over this. Let's go smash the Horde, steal Orgrimmar, and just keep it for ourselves. Let's go right now.
Yeah.
Context. I talked about it in Waypoint. I mean, Blizzard doesn't hate data mining websites, but guys, if you're going to these sites, you have to consider the context. And there is no context here, so don't blow things out of proportion until you start getting a little bit more information. I know, right? Blizzard community manager Zaram actually kind of spoke up when the footage emerged, and to try and calm people down, he had this to say. He said, "Hello, Alliance. Howdy, Horde." I see how he's more friendly with the Horde already. Right. Understandably,
Bias!
Understandably, there's a lot of rampant speculation about a version of Stormwind Harbor that's been found in the 5.4 PTR files with virtually no context. Oh, hey, there's that word behind what's going on in that environment, or where, how, or why it could be in their game. That should be relative to the time you spend drawing conclusions about what you know so far about this alternate Stormwind Harbor environment. So as we said, people were just freaking out, and it seemed like a low blow to the Alliance given all the complaints, but Zarm pretty much kind of came up and basically said you don't know the context. And I think I don't think it was on the same day, but I think that MMO Champion a couple days later ended up finding more data mine files that there's Kor'kron Iron Stars that are there, as well as the spells Bombardment and Fire Kor'kron Star, as well as if you look at the other environments from the Garrosh encounter, where there's a Shaw spell that kind of keeps people in a certain area, suddenly things start to fall into place as to what this could be.
Yes. What have you concluded, Mike Shaffnet, with the Shaw spell that keeps people in an area?
I don't know if you're being serious or sarcastic. What I'm getting at, though,
the maps are within the raid maps. Like if you look at the mini-map sections of the map, like the mini-maps that have been data mined out of the raid, they have Stormwind in them.
Yes.
And the Shah bubbles are used to keep people within zones. Yes.
Right. And
like,
so
I'm curious. I'm curious as to what you said that as if there was an obvious conclusion to be drawn. So I'm curious as to what it is.
It's not an obvious conclusion. It's not an obvious conclusion, and I'm not stating this as fact, but my personal opinion, based on the files that have been found around this, is that it could very well be a part of the Garrosh encounter, because we go to the Terrace of the Endless Spring, we go to the Temple of the Red Crane, we go to the Temple of the Jade Serpent, and they all look very similar in these messed up visions where Garrosh has Shaw spells all around them, and these spells for the Kor'kron Iron Stars are a part of the Garrosh fight. So what are the files for that fight doing in this alternate version of Stormwind, if not maybe to be for the Garrosh encounter? We've already seen the precedent of going to these destroyed environments in the fight, so why couldn't Stormwind Harbor be one of those locations?
That's right. And I think
it definitely appears instanced, at least. So we can kind of conclude that it is probably instanced, and we will probably see it in something that is not actually Stormwind. So there. So take that one, Alliance. Just take it.
Hey, no. The Alliance.
Alliance are so awesome. We get 2 capital cities.
We get 2 copies of our capital city, one of which gets blown up.
And all covered in Shaw.
And covered in the Shah. I know, it's just like I think some people, I just found the comments on this so funny. Something was posted again up on WoW Insider. It's just like the comments on it were hilarious. The people saying, they said that, it's going to be great in Mists of Pandaria. Like, we're sorry about Cataclysm, the Alliance. We really are sorry about Cataclysm. We're going to involve you more in Mists of Pandaria. What's an Alliance thing? How will we involve you? Theramore! We're going to totally blow it up. That's involving you, right?
Exactly.
You're involved. You didn't like that.
Here's the one other thing to consider, and this is another point that I brought up in Waypoint, is a lot of people, everybody's like Temple of the Jade Serpent. These are the places that are going in the Garrosh encounter. And then the other thing that I wrapped up with in Waypoint was we're no stranger to seeing a additional phase in heroic encounters. Maybe this was exclusive and people thought it was something else because it's for the heroic only encounter.
That's true. There was a video that came out about the Garrosh encounter, and we didn't actually see this little setup of Stormwind Harbor in there. So you're right. It could be, definitely could be for the heroic version of the Garrosh encounter, or it could be for after you kill Garrosh, if we're going to kill him, or after he runs away. Who knows? Run away, Garrosh. So. Yeah, we didn't see it in the Garrosh version of the I think it was 10-man normal, was it?
Yeah, 10-man normal. Yeah, it was method.
Right. So we didn't see it in there, but that doesn't mean that it can't be somewhere else.
Doesn't mean it can't be added. I mean, it could, it could equally be a scenario. It could equally be like one of the things which they were going on and on and on and on and on about on MMO Champion was the notion that it could be a vision, or like some kind of, if I don't get stopped, this is what I'm going to do to this very specific area of Stormwind. Not the keep, not the towers, not any of just the harbor. That's what I'm going to do. And,
the harbor's the only place that we have the ability to reach. So,
yep.
That does look a little rough, though.
If anything had zeppelins or something, like if anything had some kind of flying machines in the Horde, that would be easier. But yeah, I think it's definitely. I would be very, 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 very surprised if they actually did this. And when you rocked up in Stormwind Harbor, this is what it looked like in the game itself.
Right.
This is instance. This has got to be instance content. And I don't know. Does that make it better for the people freaking out about how the Alliance get crapped on again? I don't know. I'm not sure. I think it's somewhat better, but who knows? And I'm not that into the lore side of things as we.
Well, they lost the South Shore fight. It was like South Shore and Tarn Mill. They lost that one. And now Theramore, and now this. I get it, Alliance. They're like, come on. What the heck?
Well, that's it. That's like the same person whose comment I was laughing at earlier. They're like, okay, Cataclysm was terrible. We're going to involve you more in Mists of Pandaria by blowing up Theramore. And then they were like, you didn't like that? It's okay. It's going to get better later in the expansion. You're going to be totally involved. Stormwind, that's Alliance, right? Yeah.
Blow it up.
Right.
Let's just blow it up.
Involvement.
It's pretty rough. They literally brought in Ryu from Street Fighter 2 when he went Shadouken and destroyed the place. It's unbelievable.
Destroyed Stormwind, the entire Stormwind. Hopefully, I would be really surprised if this made it into the proper game. Because also, like, how would you get anywhere if you weren't if you weren't able to use portals?
Right,
You
they
don't.
destroyed the
You're
boats.
stuck. You are stuck
Yeah,
in the
right,
lines. You
stuck
can't go
forever and
anywhere.
ever. Use the
You're-
horde boats. Like,
you're
whoa, I'm
only-
in Ratchet. This is awful.
You guys didn't know that there's only going to be one faction in the
Yeah,
next expansion.
Everyone's thinking it's going to be 3 factions. It's actually just going to be 1.
Mike,
Right.
spoiler
They're
alert.
fixing it. They're fixing the problem.
Ixnay
All
on
right.
the Oilers Bay.
Secret information, leaking it right here. Last up, it's been a little bit of time since we reopened the Halinka files. I'm not cool, and I don't have
You don't have the music, do you?
I don't have it queued up. I have
So
no idea. What it
disappointed
is.
in you.
Oh wait, I found
So
it. I found it.
disappointed
I
in
found
you.
it. I found it. I found it. Help with the volumes up. There it is.
Yay!
There you go.
Halinka files.
All right. So, in fairness, though, here it's not really a crazy new Halinka idea, but some more important information on the implementation of the match-ending buff called "The Crowd Chose You." Halinka's been tweeting this week, kind of all about how the buff will actually work when it's been implemented into the PTR, and there's even actually footage that's starting to appear in it. So, Halinka had this to say. This right here to say, we track the minimum health each player throughout the match. We determine which living player has the lowest minimum health. After 10 minutes, we display the living player with the lowest minimum health. After 15 minutes, we buff the other team. What? I read that. Let's try that again.
Yeah.
We track
Wow.
the minimum health each. We track the minimum health each player
I
throughout
think he's
the
off.
match.
This is from Twitter. So this is from Twitter. So bear in mind he's working with the character limit here.
Aha.
Character limits here are Chinese. We track the minimum health of each player throughout the match. We determine
Yes.
which living player has the lowest minimum health.
Yes.
After 10 minutes, we display the living player with the lowest minimum health.
Okay.
After 15 minutes, we buff the other team. So they basically give you a 5-minute warning to be like, you better wrap this up or you're going to lose.
Yeah, exactly. Or you'd better wrap this up or, get them lower because you're going to lose right now. There's footage out there. You can head over to YouTube and check out some of the footage out there. And it sort of seems to appear at the top of the screen when you normally have like the, gold team 2 players, green team 2 players thing. That's now been extended down to give you the total duration that's elapsed of the match, as well as it says like gold team, like 12k. And that's like the lowest health. So then you would assume from looking at that the gold team has the player with the lowest health on it, and that health minimum was 12k. So you can kind of see it there, like at the top of the screen in this match. This is some of the
Boom! 900,000. That's like that Death Knight that hit me.
971,000.
I don't even care if it's not gameplay
Bruce
footage.
Lee shows up. That's amazing.
Bruce Lee to the face.
Wow.
900,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Watch it again. Watch it again.
Yes. Nice. I like
Yeah. So
So
the buff,
good.
I was kind of thinking that there would be like you could, if you were to actually go watch this footage and pause this, you can see the buff like just up at the right by the map. It's just like a little sort of head picture. Like I would have assumed you'd get this big freaking banner like the crowd chose you, rather than just like it's in your buff zone. Well done, congratulations.
No, that's wound
It's
poison.
like the second one over from the map. No, further right.
This,
Next one in, that one.
there it is,
That one
right
there.
there.
Yeah,
Wow.
right there. So it's kind of subtle at the minute. And I just think like it's looking at it's actually the lowest number health point to answer a question that literally just came up in chat, which I think is relevant. It's not a percentage base, which is a good thing, I think. But yeah, it's kind of advantageous for tanks again, I suppose. But then it's like...
Yeah, but what's not subtle is that 971,000. That's not
All
subtle.
over
That's
space.
definitely not subtle.
Boom! That's like that
And
Death Knight who hit me.
all of a
Crazy.
sudden, your attacks hit for 1 million damage, and you're not even a warlock.
I mean,
It's like mega damage.
I think that if Blizzard wasn't worried about the mega damage thing, they better worry about it soon.
Yeah,
Because that's
Right.
practically mega damage already.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is.
What do you guys think?
What-
Do you
what
guys
are
think
they-
that this is going to make people game the system at all?
This is my principal concern with this. This to me, I think firstly, I know that Mike and I don't agree on this. I think it's a good idea, and I just feel it's important to clarify that before going forward with criticisms of it. I think it changes the way that you're going to play arena games. Like, you're no longer necessarily, well, obviously a kill is the ideal outcome. Like, wiping the other team off the map is the ideal outcome that you're shooting for, or just even killing one of them is the ideal outcome that you're shooting for. You now have the option to watch this number very carefully and work just to do enough to win. Like, you don't have to win by killing someone anymore. You can just do what you can to get that number down. And it could be a case of literally sitting there at 14 minutes and 30 seconds trying to get someone down.
Oh, all your cooldowns right now because they don't have time to come back.
Sorry?
I'm sorry. I said that really boisterously and interrupting. My apologies.
He got excited.
Say it again, Shav. I didn't hear what you said.
Well, I was saying it's going to be like everybody's going to hold their cooldowns to the last, like to minute 14, so that they can get the burst at the last second, so that the other team doesn't have enough time to get their cooldowns back.
Yeah, exactly.
To come back at that point.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, this is a sort of specific situation. Like, not every match is going to play out like that. It's still going to be much quicker, more convenient, and more decisive to kill them in the first minute or the first 5 minutes. And I would hazard a guess that several arena matches don't last much more than 10 minutes. But it's still going to be better to do it like that. But there's still this option now to just be like, oh, wait, this is a team where there's going to be a turtle kind of match. So we're just going to save our cooldowns till the very now and kill them. We don't even need to kill them. We just need to not make sure they don't get lower than they do get lower than we got. And I think particularly the way it's displayed, it kind of encourages you to game it almost, because it shows you the number across the bottom.
It's a good thing though. Like, I remember with Warsong Gulch, like those matches like just took forever, and then they added it that the flag carrier now takes more damage. You know what I mean? Which kind of speeded things up, which is good.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you were saying, Olivia, like, I'm curious because there are like some, like, I don't play PvP arena or anything like that, but there are like drain teams, and there are certain strategies where you do kind of turtle and you try and like outlast the other team and eventually get them. I just wonder how this is going to affect that, but you know, you kind of answered that, I guess. In a way.
Here's how it's going to affect that. What's going to happen is that the losing team is going to gang up on the guy with the lowest health and say, "How dare you get that low in health? How dare you?" And it's going to call him out, and it's going to be horrible. You're going to just say, "Oh yeah, it was Dave. He was at the 50k health, and that was
what an idiot. He could have used a health stone and bumped himself he could have just not got down that low. He's such a
You're off the team.
You're off the team, Dave."
If certain players are going to want to be like at that low health, like, don't heal me, I'm almost there. Like, I'm about to cross the threshold for, a million damage, So I wonder if that will be part of it. Because you watch this YouTube video, it's amazing. It's like right when the character says, "I'm at low health," boom, mega damage. It's like unbelievable.
Yeah, no, because it should be the character that has the less low health. So if Team A gets someone down on Team B to 10k, and then Team B only gets someone on Team A to 12k, then the one with the higher health will win. So you can't deliberately take damage to push yourself down.
The thing about it though was I was trying to say this. I realized I was muted. I'm trying to mute from the sound behind me. It's still like your teams would still get mad at the person if you died. It was just as serious if you died as if you had low health. At least if you had low health, you'd be like, "Oh, well, I survived, so it doesn't matter." But not anymore, because you would still dip too low.
It's going to make healing really interesting as well, because you're going to have this focus now, not on just keeping people alive, but on keeping their health as high as possible. So your triage healing in PvP is going to shift from like just make sure no one dies to, "Oh God, they're getting down to like 20%. Oh God, oh God, oh God." That's the sort of the panic's going to kick in earlier. And it's going to sort of be an interesting mentality. As someone who heals in PvP, spread, like being able to keep multiple targets higher up is going to be important. And like absorbs are going to be extremely strong. If you can absorb damage rather than healing it back up, that's going to be very strong as well, because you're just preventing that health dip.
Disc priests are going to shine in arenas once again.
Surprise, surprise.
I don't know. What do you guys think? But real quick before we move on to viewer questions, is there anything that you guys would have suggested that they could have done to make this system a little bit better? Maybe just hide the fact of who is the ranking person and just
I would say
leave it out.
Take off the health number. take off that health number. Just put the
Right.
fact, just say green team is losing right now or gold team is losing right now.
Yep.
Take off that health number because that just gives people a target. It's like we did, like say it says 100k is the low health number right now, and that's on the green team side. All the gold team has to do is say, all right, we just need to get them down to 90k and we'll win. And then we'll turtle for the rest of the match. And that's like, take that number out. Just say green team is winning.
They may want that number for verification. So I mean, but
Could be.
definitely take any individual out of it and just say this team hit this low. I mean,
Yeah.
that would be I think a little bit easier to take than Dave went down
Dave.
to 5K.
God,
Dave.
Dave.
Damn it, Dave.
I don't know. It's definitely I can see your point, and I guess also there's people are just going to get add-ons to do that. So
Yeah. Right.
I
Mhm.
personally want like a CG Bruce Lee to come in and do the finishing move. Personally, like, that would be amazing.
I
Like we
think
saw in the video.
there should definitely be a bigger because people don't notice those numbers at the top.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's
That's
amazing.
so
Can you
good.
imagine if you saw that in game?
That would be
I'd flip
awesome.
out.
Yeah, people don't see those. Like I was sort of saying to someone, I was doing some pug arenas on one of the PvP songs with my priest the other day, and I was like, oh, there's only one player on the opposite team. This is going to be easy. And they're like, how do you know that? I'm like, there's like the thing at the top that says gold team this many, green team. They're like, oh, I'd never noticed that before.
Right.
And so suddenly, like people like that guy is going to walk into arena and get 1 million damage done on him suddenly, and just be like, what? And he's
Right.
not going to just stop.
Yeah.
Or he's going to get the buff and just be like, oh, I don't even know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
What happens?
Make it a little
Think
bit
of
more
the
obvious. I would
shame.
like a big fanfare and like a banner and like, yeah, the crowd chose you. Blow this joint up.
Yeah.
1 million damage.
All right, let's
Awesome.
move on to some viewer questions. But first, I want to tell you guys about one of our other amazing sponsors that I slipped up and told you about a little bit too soon last time. That's right, I'm talking about Shutterstock.com. You guys have heard about it a lot right here. I've talked about how much we use it, and it's just absolutely one of the best resources you can have if you work in the creative field, even if you don't work in the creative field. But it's specifically the creative field. You've got to have images. You've got to have stock photography. You've got to have stock elements. I used blood elements for Waypoint. I was Gary and I were recording some episode of Super Mega Awesome Time, and we were playing Final Fantasy VII, and there was some awesome fire graphics. I was like, I wonder if there's any fire stuff in Shutterstock. Of course, there's fire stuff in Shutterstock. Tons of fire stuff in Shutterstock. But that's when I came across this Godzilla movie. Hello. Let's say you're making some sort of movie. You need an atom bomb. You're clearly not going to be able to get an atom bomb to explode. You got to get a graphic somewhere. Why not use Shutterstock? Maybe you're making, maybe you guys like YouTube sensation Freddie Wong. Maybe you need some muzzle flares. Let's see if there's some muzzle flares. There's even muzzle flares.
Boom.
It's crazy. I don't think that's that's a real life footage of a muzzle flare. You could roto that out and still potentially use it. But guys, it's an amazing service that has a whole bunch of stock photography, stock elements, illustrations, vectors, video clips. We cannot promote this enough because we cannot stress how important it is. And if you guys head on over to Shutterstock right now, you can sign up for a free account. You don't have to sign up and put a credit card right now. You can sign up for a free account. You can browse. You can look to see what elements you might want to purchase. Save them to a light box, but the only thing that you got to do is when you go to checkout, use the offer code GameBreaker8 and you'll get 30% off your new account. So please, guys, go help Shutterstock. Supporting Shutterstock supports us. So if you guys have considered maybe doing a donation, maybe just go get yourself something in return and you'll help support us in the process. So Shutterstock.com. All right, guys, let's move on and check out some of these viewer questions. And I say check out because, man, you guys have just been on it lately with your video questions. Every week, we like to answer some questions right here. So keep an eye on Facebook and Twitter. Or if you guys have video questions, you can send them in to submit at GameBreaker TV. And we got 3 this week. Full week of video.
Oh yeah,
questions.
Quinlan, the manager wanted me to make a note about video questions. Please tell us which show you're submitting them for. That would be extremely helpful.
Yes, in the
Thanks.
subject line. Thank you. All right, Droidum had this to ask.
I have 2 questions for you tonight. The first question's for everyone. What is your view on semi-hardcore raiders? Is there such a thing, or is there only casual and hardcore? My second question is geared towards Olivia. I've been playing Enhancement Shaman since the beginning of Cata. and I've always felt that our reincarnation isn't that great. Don't get me wrong, solo content, it's amazing. But in a party environment like raids, it sucks. A 30-minute cooldown that has to be up prior to a pull is just not nice. What are your thoughts on reincarnation? Should Blizzard change it? Should they buff it? Should they nerf it? Should they leave it alone? Thanks for taking my questions. And as always, Legendary, stay frosty.
Stay frosty. All right. So what do you guys think? Real quick, before we get to your segment, Olivia, fast gut reactions to, is there such thing as a semi-hardcore raider?
I think we've seen that there are many different types of raiders out there, and you know, even like Ian Hazzikostas has said that they're trying to develop content for all sorts of different players. We have LFR, we have flex raids now coming into 5.4. We have normals, and then we have heroics. We've got a long string of different players. I think that there's room to say that you're semi-hardcore, like, you know, you're moving along hardcore at a fairly quick pace, but maybe not, you know, world pace or anything like that. So I think that there are definitely, you know, semi-hardcore. I mean, it's always kind of tough, though, to say that you're semi-hardcore. It's a little weird, but if you wanted to claim that, claim it. Do it.
Yeah. Own
That's
that
right.
name.
I was in a raid team. We raid like 3 nights a week, sometimes 2, and we cleared all the content in the tier, started on heroics, and we're clearing heroics as well. So we didn't raid every single night for hours and hours and hours, but, you know, we weren't like 1 night a week. You know, we were still clearing content, and I think our team, we felt socially that we were a semi-hardcore raid team. So I think what Pat said is absolutely right. There's so many options going forward, especially with flex and everything else. So I don't think that it's more of a gray area now. It's not just casual and hardcore. So I think there definitely is a semi-hardcore. There's something for everybody, really.
Yeah,
So, Olivia, what do you
definitely.
think about Shaman's reincarnation?
I think that, firstly, I am definitely not the only person on this panel who will have a valid opinion about Shaman's reincarnation. That's my first thought. My second thought is that Shaman reincarnation is pretty freaking good. Like, okay, yes, the cooldown is a bit of a pig. Don't get me wrong, but it's a battle res that you can use, and it doesn't count as a battle res.
Right.
Like, for example, I was raiding earlier today, so it's 5:16 my time now, and I was raiding at between like, what is it, 7:30 and 11:30 or something. We were raiding. There was 2 shaman healers and a enhancement shaman, and we had one pull that just went drastically wrong. We were like really within like we were there. We were gonna kill the boss, but everyone was dying, and all 3 shaman. This is 10 man. All 3 shaman died. All 3 shaman reincarnated. And we battle resed a tank. So we had 4 reses take place in 10 man, thanks entirely, with the one exception of the battle res, to shaman reincarnation. And, you know, if you get free battle reses from it, that's pretty cool. I mean, I remember when this was coming around and they were talking about shaman reincarnation, and they were saying, okay, either we cut the cooldown back and make it count against your battle res total, or we leave the cooldown super long and leave it to being exempt from that battle res total. And personally, although I can see that the cooldown is an irritation, like, you're not going to wait half an hour between pulls for reincarnation to be up. And I mean, it should never be a tactical decision for a shaman to be like, I'm going to die. Like, tactically, this is my thing. I'm going to die. And like, you do re-ink with like 20% mana, I think. So if you really oomed yourself and your reincarnation's up, you can be like, dead back.
I've had that happen
okay,
before.
I can do this.
We've had a shaman be like, I'm out of mana. We're like, then go kill yourself.
Yeah, don't kill yourself.
Right.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, it's a really funny spell because there's not another one like it. But I do think I personally prefer it in its current incarnation to the other option to say a 10-minute cooldown and it counts against the battle res. Great.
Right.
That's awesome. That's like,
Yeah.
we just used 4 reincarnations.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah.
reincarnation.
Right.
We just used 4 battle reses.
Exactly.
Well, and I want to know what the story is behind this poll. Like, after the show, I want to figure out what actually what boss you were on. I want to get the whole setup, because that must have gone terribly wrong to use three
Yes.
incarnations in a battle res. Wow.
Tortoise.
Wow.
It was an epic mess up Tortoise. Like, we just had several people getting unlucky with the turtles and the rock fall, and it was like one shaman went down and was like, oh crap, popping up again, and then the next one went down and was like, oh crap, and then popped back up again. And the third one was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, you guys, and popped back up again. And then the tank died.
That's great.
Battle res the tank. And the raid leader's like, we've already used battle res. Like, no, we haven't. It was all shaven reincarnated battle res the tank.
That's awesome.
Oh my god.
That's pretty epic.
Yeah.
Portos, the worst fight ever.
So
All right.
OG.
Next up, Mobius had this to say.
Hey, legendary crew. Geese here from Convert to Raid Mobius. Airy Peak US. I have a two-part question. First off, lately Ghostcrawler and other devs have been saying hunters and rogues need some differentiation in spec, but probably will not be getting a Warlock-style 5.0 full revamp. As a rogue, I'm a bit torn here. I don't want my class to change completely since I generally like the rogue playstyle, but there are lots of quality of life issues I would like addressed. Combo points on the rogue for life. But this got me thinking. Isn't creating a unique feel to each spec a good place to make up for the fact that pure DPS classes are no longer assumed to be doing more damage than hybrids? Seems to me that pure DPS classes, except Warlocks who really got their revamp, are feeling very behind the times. I would think that giving each spec a fun, unique playstyle and some really cool abilities both in mechanics and graphics is one way that pures can be compensated for, well, not being hybrids. Second of all of this also leads me to wonder if the community thinks too much of their input into the game. Rogues have been asking for certain changes for several expansions, but they haven't been implemented. As Ghostcrawler told me on Twitter, our community feedback is valuable, but it chooses to make informed decisions, not like some kind of wish list for people to improve their favorite class. Do you guys think we players expect too much from our feedback? Thanks so much. Keep up the good work.
So what do you guys think? Hybrid DPS and is there something to be said there with people who are wanting with pure DPS and hybridization?
Well, one of the things that they're doing with hunters is, and I know this for sure because I've definitely paid attention to the hunters stuff on the PTR, is that they're trying to make each of those specs be clearly different from each other, which is, a really good thing because, I mean, yes, DPS, these DPS pure classes are having a tough time competing with some of the hybrids when it comes to actual throughput or damage or whatever your numbers are, and they're not trying to totally reinvent it, but they're trying to make sure that those specials that hunters have can get out there and be a major part of their rotation or priorities or any of that kind of stuff. And I think they're trying to do the same thing with rogues. I don't know really anything about the rogue stuff, so I just talk about the hunter stuff. But yeah, it's kind of weird right now because they're really trying to concentrate on the play style, and it sucks for hunters right now in the PTR because DPS is really, really low. It's not good. But don't worry, they're trying to change that. And we'll see exactly what happens when they come about it. But they wanted to make some major shifts when it comes to making those specs feel completely different from each other as far as those different specials that are going on. So.
As a hunter, Pat, like as someone who plays at hunter, like I have a hunter which I use casually for PvP. Mm-hmm. And I just go with the spec that people tell me to go with because I'm just like, oh, look at a forum. Okay, that one. And do you want to have 3 very, very distinct specs? Like, is that what you want as a hunter?
I think so. I mean, one of the things that I look at when playing, like, I really think of myself as more of a survival hunter. And for that, you get certain things. You get better traps. Or different traps, and you get these explosive shots instead of different kinds of shots for the other guys. The Beast Mastery guy gets all the pet stuff. So I get these explosive shots. When I was on the PTR, it was pretty cool because normally when you get the lock and load proc, you get, right now on live, you get 2 free explosive shots, and usually you can fire off another one right after that. When I was on the PTR, I got up to 9 of these suckers.
Wow.
Up to 9 of them in a
That's
row.
kind of crazy.
And I'm like, whoa, this is cool. I'm actually firing this thing and it's blowing up on the dude, and it's really great. The damage wasn't necessarily there, but it was really cool to see that I was just being able to fire off these explosive shots, and maybe they've changed it since last time I was on PTR. But I mean, it was still pretty cool to go through and do those special abilities that only are available for that particular spec. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I'll tell you a great example of this as far as a pure DPS and the difference in the specs is Mage. When I was playing in Mists of Pandaria, I was playing Arcane, and Arcane Mages kind of found a way to kind of game the system where we could keep our stacks through Scorch Weaving and do like insane amounts of DPS. It was awesome. It was glorious. And then Arcane kind of got nerfed, so then I switched to Frost. And it was amazing as Frost because that's strictly been a PvP spec pretty much, like leading up to this. But like here I am, same class, but playing Frost. Now I have a pet. Now I've got like all these other, like an orb, this like frozen orb that I'm throwing out. It was a completely different playstyle for me. And it was something that I was really excited about. It was like kind of like a new class in a way, because it was just completely different. And Fire also, it's great on the move. It plays completely different than Frost and especially Arcane. So I think it is important. I think that you want to have, because you're right, when you're playing pure DPS, you're DPS, like no matter what. You're not like a druid where you can switch to tanking and then switch to healing. That's a completely different type of gameplay. But making these specs vary and very different, it almost feels like different gameplay. And I think that's a good thing for players.
Yeah. I think the Mage is a really, really, really good example of that. That is an excellent example. Like, I love fire. I like to blow things up with fireball, with pyroblast. I like to blow things up. I freaking hate Frost, man. I tried to get on board with that water elemental, but man, I could not. So it's true, and it's like it makes it more exciting, it makes it more fun, more interesting. But it does make it like, I don't know, and I must admit, like my mage, like 95% of my maging is in PvP, so I can't really comment on the mage as a raiding character. So refer back to you, Colt. Like, are there not situations where people are like, oh, wow, dude, you should be fire for this fight? Or you should be Arcane for this fight, because as those specs get more disparate, isn't there an argument that you should be switching around more, and to people like being like, no, like I know if that was me, I'd be like, no, I want to be a fire mage because of the pyroblasting. Is that a thing?
Yeah, but no, you're right, but that also goes to that idea of if you're like in a more, let's say, a more casual raid team, you're just gonna like no big deal. But like people tend to switch specs based on the DPS, but also you're right from a fight to fight basis. Here's the problem with mages though. Fire is all about crit. So and Frost is like haste. So I'm gemmed all haste. But let's say on the next fight there's a lot of movement, so fire is great for movement. But that means I got to switch out all of my gems to crit gems. Yeah, and like it's not just a simple reforge. Like when it comes to this kind of thing, that's kind of been kind of a little bit my issue. That how different the mage specs are, because fire, it's all crit. Like every gem is crit. You know what I mean? And
even
Frost and that kind of thing. Right. Yes. Exactly.
Well, for the hunters, it's a little bit easier because I know that for single target, for the last couple of tiers here, for single target stuff, it's always been beast mastery has been kind of the way to go, and then for multi-target, it was survival. So it was you did see that in the hunter class a lot actually, where if there were a lot of mobs, you needed to go survival. That was just kind of the way that you had to go because you wanted to get that damage out there.
Right.
And
I remember being jealous of that.
Pages are totally different. Yeah, exactly. I remember you yelling in raid, actually.
That's right.
Something
well, because you guys are gemming agility, so it's like, oh, sure, I'll just switch to Beastmaster. Oh, I see. Yeah, but like, it's just, I'm like, this isn't fair. You can't just switch specs for a fight. That's not fair. So that's a part of me, like, this is like another argument that I've always felt like there's a part of me that doesn't like these gems where the secondary stats are so good. Like, there's a part of me that almost prefers the olden days where we just gemmed pure int. And when you gemmed pure intellect, you could switch specs for each fight and you were good to go, no big deal. But now these secondary stats are such a big thing that you got to regem completely.
But then on the other hand, isn't it more interesting as well? Like, and that's the sort of homogenization versus the, like, non-homogenization argument. Say homogenization, Mike Shaffnet. Where are you? Mike?
He's hiding from the drums.
I'm bullying him. But no, it's that argument again. It's more interesting to be like, oh, Frost is all haste and fire is all crit. That's more interesting than everyone. Oh, mage intellect. Like that's less interesting. But it's expensive and it's kind of irritating. Like particularly if you're raiding and you're like, oh, okay, so now my raid wants me to do this, this, and this, and I'm like, oh, now it's going to cost me like thousands of gold to regen my stuff. Right. It's the kind of it's the convenience versus interest. It's a really interesting argument.
Yeah, well, we had a priest that actually, when we were in Terrace of Endless Spring, he actually went through all 3 of his specs, and he had to re-enchant, re-gem, and all that kind of stuff, his gear, so that he could play all those different specs. And not only that, he also had to buy his 3rd spec every time. He had to switch it out, and then get that, and then... So he had to go back to the class trainer, so it was just a real big pain to do stuff like that. And so, yeah, for those people that have to switch specs and re-gem, I feel for you. I really do. It's no fun. It's no fun.
All right. Last up here, Core asked this. We've actually had his question in multiple times here. So, Core, thanks for coming back, and here you guys go.
Hey, guys. I got a problem. This guy back here, okay, seriously, this guy's an amateur. Look at that lighting. And quiet much? I mean, I can't hear him now. Can you? Yeah, all right. What's going on, Legendary and Game Breaker Nation? My question for you guys this week, is flex rating the future of World of Warcraft rating? The fact that they have this capability now brings up endless possibilities. If they have this capability now, that means that maybe in a year they might be able to do this with heroics, right? Right now, flex rate actually brings up a little bit of a problem for both 25-man and 10. Say we only have 23 people. We just can't find 2 more people. That means we have to do flex rate this week. It means we're going to actually drop down item level. The problem with 10 players is actually very similar. Say we have a 10-player guild and we actually have 13 people part of this pool of people that we choose from. Say we have all 13 people there. Those 3 people that have to sit out from the raid are going to be complaining all the time. Well, we can just do flex raid and then everybody can go and then everybody's happy. But then, again, we're going to be losing item level. So with this whole flex rate feature, I kind of see Blizzard going towards this direction. Maybe. It's just my theory. And you guys think most of my theories are nuts, crazy, right, man? So my vision for the...
Hey, for the record, I think never thought about it like that. You're bringing up a really good point to me, at least. So let's continue your video.
Future of raiding in World of Warcraft is first tier, LFR, 25-player easy mode. Second tier, we have normal raiding, but with a flexible raid size. Maybe 10 to 25, maybe even 10 to 30 or 10 to 40. Finally, heroic raiding, which would be the same as normal. Flexible raid size, whatever they see fit, 10 to 25, 10 to 30, 10 to 40, whatever. That's my theory. So let me know what you guys think. If I'm crazy, I'm crazy. Oh well, that happens. Oh, by the way, Mike Shaftnet, you mentioned last week you think I should do shows on YouTube or something. And, I don't know if I'd be good at making YouTube shows.
Dang, call me out.
let me know after.
Boom, call me out. Go click these videos.
Do shows. All right. Thanks for making my question, and keep up the good work, guys.
Oh, he even had a Game Breaker TV application video. Let's, I'm not the one who deals with the applications, but I'm going to make sure that gets forwarded to whoever needs to look at them.
There you go.
What do you guys think? Flex. I think he brings up a good point. I never thought about it that way. When you're sitting in that situation where you are a 10-man raiding guild, and then you got the 3 people sitting on standby, they're going to just be like, well, why don't we just do flex so that I can actually tag along?
Yep.
But then they're like, no.
Point.
It is a really good point.
I never
like if you've got 23 people, like if you've got a 25-man raid, you're like, oh, well, we could either go in with 23 and see how we go, or we can do flex. So there's going to be like half your group going, oh, no, we want to do the flex, and half your group going, oh, but we want the item level on the gear. It's good point, man.
Yeah, well,
good point.
And this is something that raid leaders are going to have to really kind of tackle delicately, especially at first, because I know that what'll end up happening as soon as flex raid comes into the game, people are going to want to check it out, and that's understandable. So please do check it out. I think that it's going to be actually a lot of fun, especially if you're short players. And you need to grab some more, and especially with now, what are they, connected realms? If you have less than 10, you should be able to find extras, some puggers for your flex rating needs, and so that will be good. And yeah, there's gonna be some tough choices though by raid leaders after it comes out, like after the first couple of weeks, I'm guessing.
It's all about the loot, baby.
Coltrane, what do you think?
All weapons should be an LFR. I said it's all about the loot. at all times. And this is a very good point. We're going to take Dave, well, then we drop down. Most of the teams already got their flex gear. So what do you say, Dave? Do we take him or do we sit him?
Screw Dave.
He totally wiped us at that arena match earlier, so let's just leave him.
Right. Yeah,
Leave Dave behind. He was the worst.
Olivia, what do you think about this? Go ahead,
Colt was still talking, man.
Oh, well, basically all I was going to say is what I think that this is just another thing that's just going to cause some drama that like Pat was saying, raid leaders are going to have to deal with. You know, it's a funny thing. You look at it and you say, oh my gosh, flex raiding is great. If we have 13, then my other 3 buddies, we can all join and be together. But a big reason why people raid me is loot. Socially it's great, but come on.
Don't pretend you like hanging out with those guys.
I do. So, but I mean, that is going to definitely introduce a layer of drama that is going to occur, because at first everyone will be doing flex, everyone will be into it, everything will be great, but after a while, people are going to have their flex gear. They're going to want that normal gear, that normal eye level stuff, and I think that's when the drama is really going to rise.
For sure. And I think, I don't know, for me, it seems like the flex, I think particularly for and I'm looking at this from a personal perspective, from the perspective of my guild, we do okay in the 10-man normals. We occasionally get into 10-man heroics, it's not often. And, flex for us is going to be initially probably replacing a farm night. Like, we're still going to do 10-man progress on our normal modes, being kind of crap, and we'll wipe a lot to Tortos. And, that's what'll happen. It's going to be fine. But the flex mode raid is going to be our farm night. So that's the night when we can bring everyone along. And it's going to be easier. So we can probably carry people, like people who are under-geared and trying to gear outs up. They can come along. They can be number 14, number 15, and be carried by 10 stronger players. It's really going to be quite straightforward. So it's not going to be the end of the world. And raid leaders are going to have to deal with that as like the farm night is either a flex night. I can imagine having 3 nights a week, like flex, 10 farm, 10 progress, or something along those lines. And it's just going to be something that raid leaders are going to have to deal with. It's going to be fine. They'll get over it.
Olivia Grace, you can follow her down there right at Olivia D. Grace. Be sure to check her out over on Zam Official's page, where she does Talk Azeroth, as well as WoW Insider, where she writes words and stuff.
Yes, mostly words.
Mostly just words. You can follow Pat Crane right down there at Pat Crane. Be sure to catch him over on Convert to Raid.
And this week you'll be able to catch Olivia over on Convert to Raid as well.
You will. I'm coming over. Crossing over the divide.
Yeah.
Coltrane, I bring you all the way over here to Legendary. You never asked me once to come on Convert to Raid.
I want you on. It's Pat.
He's just like,
I'm the holdup.
And I'm waiting for a close-up.
Coltrane, you can follow him right down there at _Coltrane. Be sure to follow him as well. Where does his show? You guys do that show on Sunday mornings, correct?
Yeah, Sunday mornings.
That's correct.
Sunday mornings. 11 a.m. Central. So at 9 a.m. your time.
See,
I really want to wake up at 9 a.m.
I gotta get up.
I saw a tweet. I woke up early on Sunday. Literally saw a tweet. You're like, tune in right now. I'm like, I'm going back to sleep. I'll listen to the record.
That's another reason why we won't have you on the show. You're not willing to wake up.
Exactly.
Well, if I was asked to be on, I'd wake up.
Olivia's here at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly.
I
love coming on Convert. I've been on Convert to Raid once before, and I loved coming on Convert to Raid because it's the one podcast that's at a sociable freaking time for me.
That's right. We did it just for the UK folk. That's
6 p.m. It's perfect.
It's awesome.
It's way too early, Mike. I'm in hell. Please.
Be sure to follow Coltrane right down there at _Coltrane and catch him over on Convert to Raid. You guys can follow me right down here at Mike Shaffnet. Be sure to catch Waypoint that goes out every Tuesday, as well as be sure to tune in to After Dark for live viewer questions Tuesday at 9 p.m. Thank you guys so much for watching. Legendary goes live every Thursday at 8 p.m. PDT. If you guys haven't watched it live, please come hang out with us. We'd love to have you. Be sure to check out Gamebreaker TV. Follow at Gamebreaker TV. Check out all of our amazing sites. This is not official, but if you guys push for it, there might be a WoW Nation website coming. There's already a WoW Nation YouTube channel and a WoW Nation Twitter, so you guys should go follow those. Yeah. WoW Nation TV is the YouTube channel and the Twitter, so be sure to go to check those guys, those channels out. I'll see you guys next week.